thanks Cərrahi University and staff of ADAU TV. Thank you. From the Department of Therapy, Gynecology and Surgery, I'm lecturer Nabiyeva Nigar. Research more information from our lecture, Elements of Surgical Operation. I use lecture plan. We will talk about the first, separation of tissue in animals, the second, of its top, the third, which more important place, connecting of tissues, the four, elements of plastic operations, the five, injection, infusion, and blood pressure. I used the surgery, orthopedics, ophthalmology from, I would like to say, very good book, because a lot of useful information I can find for some small animal surgery, and Atlas Veterinary Surgery, very good atlas, minor veterinary surgery. I took a lot of information from minor veterinary surgery. The first part of our lecture, separation of each blood associated with a violation of the integrity of the tissues, and every veterinary surgeon doctor should know one general rule of surgery. Do something, do operate it, and will be very difficult. You should know general rule of which should be as large as needed, as small as possible. We should know that. And I would like to say about the length of the tissue. Three parts of vet surgery from this lecture. First, this is the legs of the tissue. The second, the shape of cut. The third, diameter. The first of the tissue talk about section depends not on the legs of the affected area. The deeper they are located, and the longer the incision of the intergumeral tissues will be. And we shouldn't remember the incision possible. Here we can see the lengths which we use: surgical knife, scalpels, and hook, special instrument, which we can raising some organs or some tissues, and after that we can direction, and we know direction with these tools, scalpels. This is our vessels, and we will very attentively when we put some tampons over bleeding places, because a lot of blood surface when we're cutting and we cannot see something. The shape of the cut, the second more important place of this lecture. The shape of the cut of the tissue is most of rectilinear, but sometimes maybe longer wounds has a maybe rectilinear. 90% of shape of the cut may be rectilinear. And of course we can use some instruments which we have in the clinic, scalpels, different types of scalpels, different types of scissors, has a curved scissors, has a straight scissors. But sometimes we should know shape of the cut, because when we want to cut some tissues and raise some organs, we should know where located this organ, and from with hook we should raise this organ, and after that cut. For example, has a patchwork incisions of the most diverse shapes used, has a T-shaped forms, cruciforms shape, different maybe shapes, but we should attentively about that. The direction of the cut. Direction of the cut, we know when we see quickly for this, for example, damaged places. This direction of the cut determined by the course of the skin folds, maybe ligaments, maybe tendons, tendon sheets, and tendon sheets and other organs, random damage to which may adversely. And here we can see how we should cutting with scissors. This is straight scissors, and the next slide we will talk about the straight scissors and curved scissors. Don't matter because nowadays I'm using very easy for me straight scissors when I'm cutting peritoneum, when I'm cutting some tissues. But here we can see straight scissors, which we know direction of the cut. After that we can cut with scissors. Here we can see direction. Yeah. Instruments, cutting techniques. Most often this is instrument, scalpels. Scalpel and knife, surgical knife. Surgical knife maybe nowadays has a separately handle and has a separately blade. And here we can see different types of scalpels. And cutting this gun, first of all, we should now necessarily eliminate to mobility display surgical himself with the fingers and fixed with fingers for here we can see scalpel types of different sizes. This is handle, which located on the left side, only handle, and the right side see only blade. Has different types of with different numbers, more useful 20 number, more useful 23 and 24. But I think depends when we use handle with blade. I think this information after that we can choose some blade of scalpel. And here more useful 10, 24, 6. But 42 sometimes we use the patchwork wounds special blade. Here we can see how fingers left. The second picture, we can see how we should fix with tweezers. Tissues, skins very well, because after that we can cut very easy, because with tweezers very good fixation occurs fixed, and after that we can cut. The first here very general significant moment here, position of the scalpel blade when cutting thin skin. And the second, the section of the peritoneum between two fingers. And the first picture, we see how we should keep scalpel when we cutting. First, vertically, the second, horizontal, and the three, vertical. Why vertical? Because by the end vertical, we should put this scalpel, because we can damage other vessels. Because the end, we should should put incision vertically scalpel. And the second, the section of the peritoneum between two fingers, we should insert it to the peritoneum with scissors and before fixed with two fingers to the peritoneum. And after that we can cutting with scissors. Scissors may be curved and may be straight, don't matter. In addition, scalpel scissors use separate tissues, which depending on the purpose also have different shape, maybe have a different shapes, and has a very special tweezers, important tweezers, during operation. This is tweezers. Has a anatomical and surgical tweezers. Difference between surgical and anatomical tweezers. Anatomical tweezers without teeth on the tip, has a notch on the edge. But surgical tweezers has a small teeth on the tip without notches. And I think very easy for me surgical tweezers. Why? Because very good fixed during operation, fixed tissue skin, and after that we can cutting with scissors or scalpels. But assistants help, veterinary surgery assistants can help anatomical tweezers because fixed but without teeth. It's not comfortable, I think. With surgical tweezers, very comfortable, I think, because my practice show that they capture more play work. They capture, move, and hold tissues during operations. Very well fixed tweezers, but surgical. I will recommend it, surgical tweezers. The picture here, we can see scissors and tweezers. Two types of scissors and tweezers. Scissors, first picture, we can see straight lines, and the second curved. And tweezers, the first anatomical with notches on the edge, we can see, and without teeth. But surgical with teeth on the tip, without notches. And surgical very easy, you can see teeth, and with teeth fixed very well tissue. Surgical tweezers, here we can see. And these instruments, more common, we most often use in the clinic. This is elastic intestinal clamp, the first. The second, this is scalpel. The third, scissor, straight scissor. The four prolonged retractors for expand wounds. And the five, shape scalpels. And the sixth instrument, this is curved tweezers. The seven, straight tweezers. Straight tweezers and 8 different types of, and 9 this is hemostatic forceps, and finally this is needle form, this is shape of circle, surgical needle. Here we can see different types of, for example, the first right side, the first Gillen's this is needle holder, Hager needle holder, and Mathieu needle holder, Mayo Hagar for instrument, straight side, right side, Mayo Hagar. Hagar needle holders very useful. Why? Because has a two function. The first function, this is scissors, the four needle holder, and very easy. And nowadays we use with this needle holder, and back house with towel clips, fixed towel. The operating fields, and this left side, different types of scissors, straight scissors, and surgical for dissection of peritoneum or dissection skin, forceps and tweezers, and hemostatic pincets. And veterinary beach space surgery, kids, small animals, and I would like to say about forceps. Forceps may be curved, may be straight, and has a towel clamps forceps, Mayo Hagar, and I say it has a two function, scissors and needle holders. And Mayo scissors, the 5 instrument. Scalpel only handle, because nowadays we can use blade and handle separately, and spay hook 18 centimeters when we want to raise ovarium during ovarictomy. This is operation when we remove both of ovaries with this instrument. When we want raise ovarium, and after that we remove that. Different types of scissors, curved, straight, and some different places of the edge. And to squeeze or pinch off tissues, we use a chain écraseur. Chain écraseur we use when we want to operate bones, operate or some stretching the edges of the wound hooks of various shapes and size. Sharp hooks has a more important instrument, sharp hooks. And then we use for dense fabrics, blunt and lamellar wound hooks injure tissues less. And most often I would like to say for complete dissection of bones has 3 types of saws. This is sheet, arc and wire. And these complete instruments we use only when we want to operate bones, for example. And the periosteum, when we want to remove that, we use that saws. The periosteum, we should separate it with respiratory special tools when we operated bones. And has a spoons, has the bone marrow when fistula was scraped out. When we want to sequesters removed, we use spoon. And this is instruments. This is shape hooks, first, second, third instruments. Chain écraseur, the 4, the 5 special forceps, the 5 4 prolonged retractors, 4 expand wounds, and has 4 prolonged retractors and 2 prolonged retractors, and special forceps Mövzu. This is towel clamps, and these instruments used for bone surgery. Where bone surgery has we say has a rotary and manual trephine, first and the second picture, arc and AB, arc and sheet saws, has a nipple Dahlgrens, nippers, grooved and stride chills, and costal scissors, trepan with cutters, rib scissors, has a rib rasputters when we want to resect some part of ribs. We use has a arc wire saws, Dahlgren nippers, and trepanation. What is trepanation? Trepanation, this is Greek word. This is trepao, drilling. This is special types of tissue separation by sewing holes in the bones with cylindrical saws. We use Dahlgren nippers. Dahlgren nippers, bone holes are expanded when we want to holes are expanded with bone forceps. And to perform trepanation, first make angular incision in the skin and other tissues. Bone tools, we use only bone tissues, for example, trepanation. During that, we use Dahlgren's nippers, and I said arc and wire saws. And the periosteum is dissected with the rasper. It is moved to the base of the skin flap. This is more important place of this bones operation. What is amputation? Amputation, this is Latin amputare, to cut off. When we want to remove some part of organs, some part of peripheral organs, or we remove tissues, some part of organs, peripheral. And has an exarticulation, this is exhalation. Exarticulation, this is Latin, ex from outward, articles joined. When we want to only remove part of special peripheral part of organs. Maybe in animals, maybe hind limbs, one limbs, maybe remove one forelimb. The second part of our lecture, bleeding and methods of its stopping. Depending on the source of occurs, bleeding can be arterial, venous, capillary, and parenchymatous. This is bleeding, and very dangerous. This is arterial bleeding. Most often we can meet of the animals. Bleeding that can occur due to erosion of the vessel wall during the descent of surrounding tissues is called erosive bleeding. But what we should do? We can apply tourniquet about some centimeters above the bleeding places. Tourniquet may be the black color, but different size, maybe cat different size, dog different size special tourniquet, but maybe different colors, blue, orange, green. And hemostatic tourniquet, when I say it, we should apply it above some centimeters above the bleeding places. We can use tourniquet, which we can see the first picture. And here tourniquet and the second places of its application. Maybe hind limbs, we can apply it above some centimeters bleeding places, maybe forelimb. Stop the bleed. This tourniquet, cat tourniquet, by maybe different size of dog tourniquet, but the same function, the same, maybe different color, maybe different types of size, but function the same. This only not bleeding process, this is injection process, but I would like to show you where we should apply it, tourniquet, above some centimeters, about bleeding places, or above injection places when we want to inject it intravenous, some liquid, some solution, amount of solution. And temporary stop of bleeding. For bleeding, we use mechanical methods, we use physical methods, chemical methods, and biological methods. For stop bleeding, maybe from small vessels, maybe during operation we can see a lot of bloodletting, bleeding, and with tamponade, which this is mechanical methods, with tamponade we can stop this bleeding place. When we operate it, we cannot operate it because a lot of bleeding places, and we cannot see some vessels, we cannot see some organs, and for that we should apply it 1 minute or 30 seconds tampons to this vessel which we damaged. And hemostatic tweezers has a pian, hemostatic tweezers, and coher. Pian without teeth on the tip, but coher with teeth on the tip, and hemostatic curved clamp, which we use during operation. Most common, most important, we use these tools: tweezers, hemostatic clamp, and surgical scalpels, surgical tweezers. Most important, we use this instrument. And I said mechanical method we use very simple, easy way. We use tamponade, and we should pressure to these bleeding places, and 1 or 50 seconds we can see stop bleeding. And after that we can operate it very well, because we can see vessels, we can see some organs which we want to operate. Twisting the vessel, torsion methods, which very easy, simple way. And twisting the vessel, torsion, and has a pian, coher, which we use most common. And this is vessel ligature. I would like to say about vessel ligature, very simple and very easy way, because quickly can stop bleed. This consists of tying a thread, maybe silk, maybe catgut. And here we can see methods of vascular ligation. The first, ligature of bleeding and of the vessel, and the second, bringing the ligature with the Deschamps needle, and ligation of the main trunk throat and shipping the vessel. But this is a process very difficult during operation, because we should be very attentively, because when we damage small vessel, can occur a lot of bleeding, and we should stop with tampons. If we cannot see result, we should use with hemostatic pincets and coher pians, or we should put ligature. About physical methods, we use cold or heat, because when we want to stop bleeding process during operation, if we use physical methods, this based of the hard or cold or heat process. Chemical methods. Chemical methods based on the use of pharmacological substances when we use 30% hydrogen peroxide. We should be very carefully when we use that because caution skin burns. And for biological methods. Biological methods in the first place and give general effect increasing blood clotting. Increasing blood clotting very important places, increasing blood clotting. And we can put some, when we use biological methods, pieces of the amentum, adipose tissue, muscle, fascia transferred of bleeding surface, and if we also have hemostatic effect. And I think very useful mechanical methods and biological methods very useful, but sometimes we can use chemical and physical methods, but very useful biological and mechanical methods. And the third part of our lecture, connection of tissue. Connection of tissue after each operation, we should put stitches, applied stitches, and with threads, with different types of sutures, which we will now talk about that. The close operational and accident wounds of the skin cavity walls, we should special sutures. And before that, I would like to say about bloody methods, has a special bloody methods and bloodless methods of operation. During bloodless operation, we cannot see blood because this is not bloody operation. But bloody methods, when we use tampons, when we should, after operation, close with sutures, some stitches, and after 12 or 10 days, we should remove that suture. This is bloody operation. But during this is for closing operation, we use some special tools and some special stitches. These tools Gillis needle holder. We should use needle holders and with needle, because without that we cannot close operation incision. And this is Gillis needle holder we use, and Matthew and Boyton needle holder. Most common we use Matthew needle holder, very easy, and sometimes we use Boyton needle holder. Needle holder, the function of needle holder, when we want to needle fix to the needle holder, and after that applied some stitch of the skin. Straight and curved hemostatic forceps. The function the same, but shape different. Straight and curved hemostatic forceps. And bandage, plaster, cascading scissors. Here we can see different types of, but different size. And the function the same. When we want cutting scissors, bandage, plaster has a special scissors. And how we should fix needle to the needle holder. Sometimes we should put a needle on the left hand and needle holder right hand and fix that. After that, we should fix stitch to the needle from needle holder. After that, put applied stitch. Has a different size of circle needles for operation. 22 number of surgical size we use when we want to operate eyes. 20 number, 18, 22, and 4 or 2 and 6 number circle needles we use when we want to operate in the peritoneum, and has a different types of size of needles. And here we can see how we should fix needle to the needle holder. Very clearly we can see here. But I would like to say and add some information about that. When we can see that, but if veterinary surgery doctor and the laboratory lesson should show the students how we should needle fix to needle holder with own hands. When each student will with own hands needles fixed to the needle holder, I think that after 3 or 4 lessons will be very well, learn very well, and use during some operation. Here, structure of needle. This has a point, body, and switched end. Basic needle design. All surgical needles has a special 3 types, 3 part of needle. The first, eye or switch, the second, body, and the third, this is point. And we can see continuation of point, we can see suture material, maybe catgut, maybe skin, maybe silk, nylon, maybe different types of suture, and switched needle. Special needles which we use for closed on the skin has a special manufacturer needle shape, about information about that surface of needle, about some information about needle. Has a needle code special, maybe 5, maybe 4. Needle lengths, maybe 18 millimeters, maybe 10 millimeters, and has a needle types. Imaging of needle and special lengths may be different. This is surgical suture, silk braided. This is silk, non-absorbable sutures. And this is polyglycolic acid. This is absorbable suture, and plain catgut, polyglytin, nylon monofilament. And about types of knots. Most often we say it most important place of surgery. This is knots, this is sutures, some special types of tools, curved or straight scissors, tweezers, but knots, types of knots, very important part of the closer third part of surgery. Types of knots. The first, surgical, and the second, marine. We're very comfortable when we use surgical knot, but sometimes we use surgical knots and marine knots we use. Surgical knots we used very common. And about technique of tying knots, according Sadowski, the first, this is the first loop, and has the second loop. Here we should know some moments. We should apply the first loop, after that the second loop, and we can give a very good result after operation. Tying a knot across a man. This is special tying a knot, but only a man. And tying a knot with a hemostatic forceps. Has 4 methods, 4 etaps for hemostatic forceps. The first, when we use needle holders, needle, suture, when we want to apply the first stitch. After that, we should apply knot. And the picture number 4, we can see very well. We should tie knot. But we should tie knot with instruments, with scissors. And about seams. Has a operation with surgery has 2 types, interrupted seams or continuous seam. 2 types of seams. Types of the first situational, the second loop shaped, and the third seam with rollers. Very useful situational seams, and when we operated deeper organ of the peritoneum or deeper organs, we should apply loop-shaped or situational seams, and seam with rollers we use when we want to operate very patchwork wounds. And about simple interrupted suture, how we should apply the suture. This simple interrupted suture applied with separate threads, maybe 15 or 25 centimeters, but long each. And the edge of the wound fixed with surgical forceps. and has a special race of each stitch. This is spacing for each stitch should be 0.75 or 0.5 centimeters, and length of each thread should be 15 or 25 centimeters, and depth of needle injection should be 0.5 or 1.5 centimeters. And about simple interrupted suture, we can see here knots on the same place, and the knots should be located on the same side on the wounds, on the same of the needle injection. But 3 or 4 stitches or 7 stitch or 6 stitch, this indications depends of different shapes of direction of incision. Because has a small incision, which we should apply 2 or 3 stitch, has a long incision, we should apply 7 or 8 stitch. I think depends of shape of direction or direction of incision. Here we can see very well about dips, 0.5 centimeter dips, needle injection, and between each stitch should be 0.5 centimeter spacing, and about knots on the same side, or left or right, but we should know if general rule about these knots. We should know these knots should be on the same of the wounds and on the same of the needle injection. The stitch applied distance of 0.75, 1.5 centimeters from another. And for example, needle injection may be 0.5 centimeters, maybe sometimes 0.85 centimeters, because it depends of different depths of wounds. If deeper wounds, if we should put stitches, we should apply stitches, and maybe 3, maybe 4 stitches. And simple interrupted suture, here we can see very well under of the skin and above the skin, knots. And simple interrupted suture and different types of suture, we should apply that. Fixed, we should fix with tweezers and needle injection. And after that, we should apply 7 or 8 stitches. Here we can see knot tied, which we should apply knot. The second and the first picture, this is correct. And the fourth picture, interrupted simple suture, how we should apply it. And the 5, continuous simple suture. Simple running technique, interrupted, continuous. But simple running technique, interrupted sutures, we should apply each stitch after the cutting threads, after that applied again one each stitch, second stitch, third stitch, and the continuous during continuous stitch, when we injected one stitch with needle holder needles, and when we want remove that after 14 or 10 days, we should each stitch remove separately. Situational suture we used when we weed long wound with non-straight edges, but the looped suture prevent tissue eruption and applied to the patchwork wounds of the skin, muscle defects, aponeurosis. And the roller suture designates close severally gapping wounds with significant edge stress. But we use very most common, we use situational suture and looped suture. But roller suture we use, I said, severally gapping wounds with significant edge stress. And look at seam and methods of imposition. The first picture, A, B, we can see correct. This is true applied. The C, wrong. this is not true, because then deeper needle of tissues, first layer, second layer, third layer, then very quickly will be, after 10 or 7 days, quickly we can see we want to remove this stitch. Continuous stitch, Fourier stitch, matrix stitch, and purse string stitch. This is continuous stitch. And during simple interrupted, we said about only situational, only rollers, and only loop shaped suture. But continuous stitch has a Fourier stitch, matrix stitch, and purse string stitch. Fourier stitch we can use most often, and the matrix seam applied fabrics were seam stitches, and the third purse string suture on the skin used of small rounded wounds, as well as for temporary closure of natural openings. And continuous stitch, Fourier stitch, the first picture, the second we can see matrix stitch, and the third purse string stitch. Purse string stitch, when we want to operate it, resectio of rectum, we should apply purse string stitch with small wounds, small. Intestinal suture, the scheme of one-story lumbar suture and continuous seam, accordic lumbar, has a lumbar suture and Schmiden suture. Lumbar suture, Schmiden suture, this is intestine sutures, when we should apply only intestine. And how we should remove suture. Here we can see only suture removal technique. After, with primary tense, we should remove teeth after 3 stitches after 7-8 days, but if we can see recovery operation place after, we can remove 10 or 14 days. Normal time 10-14 days. And remove, how we should remove thread? We should raise some edges with tweezers, and with scissors which located near, we should cutting and remove that. The fourth part of our lecture, elements of plastic operation, has a during surgery we know about 4 types of transplantation. This is autoplasty, homoplasty, heteroplasty, and alloplasty. Autoplasty, the material is taken from the sick animals itself. Homoplasty, when we take from the tissue transferred from another animal of the same. And heteroplasty, graft transplanted from animal another species, from, for example, dogs or cats. But homoplasty, for example, cat or cat, dogs, dog. Alloplasty tissues usually when we use non-material, non-living origin material. And preparation of the prepared skin flap here, how we should prepare skin flap. And closing the defect with the leg skin flap in the eyelid region. Here we can see this is horse and has a defect on the near eye, and defect with the leg skin, which took some skin and transferred to this place, and after that eyelid region, and after some days we can see recovery. And transplantation skin pieces occurs among taking a graft, the first picture, only taking graft. The second, preparation of the wells of the grafts. And the third, placing the graft in the wells. The 5th part of our lecture, injection, infusion, and blood pressure. Has an injection, for example, between difference, we should know difference between injectio and injectio throw-in, synonyms injection. The introduction of liquid forms medicinal substances in biological products through the thickness of tissue, but infusio, this is when the introduction of large amounts of liquid various blood substitutes. And here we can see infusion into the jugular vein position of the apparatus with infusion and after infusion. Here we can see very well how we should find jugular vein, and after that very quickly injected some liquid amount of solution. Here we can see very well jugular vein and injected some liquid solution. Injection into large air vein in a peak. Air vein, we can see very well because here we can inject some liquid and when we want to take blood. Injection into large air vein in a peak. And injections in dogs into the saphenous vein of the forearm, the first picture, and the second into small hidden vein. And puncture site of the saphenous vein in birds, this puncture, which located on the angle, the same, and has a cephalic vein and accessory cephalic vein, and saphenous vein, which located in the hind limbs, and the forelimbs located cephalic vein and accessory cephalic vein. And here, very important moment. Finally, I would like to say about intramuscular, subcutaneous, intravenous, intradermal injection. Has a special position how we should inject it, some liquid, intramuscular or intravenous or intradermal, has a special angle of injection. For example, first layer, epidermis. And to the epidermis, we should injection intradermal, some liquid, on the angle 10 from 15, and this is intradermal. This second layer, dermis, which we can inject it intravenous and some liquid, some amount solution on the angle 25 degree, and the third layer, subcutaneous tissue, which we should inject it subcutaneous, place some liquid solution on the angle 45 degree, and the fourth layer muscle. This is intramuscular on the angle 90 degree. Special position of our hands, which we should put syringe on the hands, and how we should put, and where we should inject it, intramuscular or subcutaneous or intravenous. We should now angle, special angle. Intramuscular 90 degrees, subcutaneous 45, intravenous 25, and intradermal 10-15 degree. Today our lecture finished. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.